If there are no questions, what we've done to be consistent and fair with everyone is approve those 2-year orders. I don't think we ever really get too deep into what the offenses are, just to be consistent.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve these. Are we approving them to test or are we approving their licenses?
So that's a good question. The very first individual actually has tested. And normally the board has given me authority to approve those so they don't wait for their license. But it literally would have been a week away from the meeting. And so she's coming before you, so legal didn't have to duplicate their efforts. So all of the others are either incarcerated or getting ready to test. And the order is, gives us consent that once the license goes out, because as soon as they pass the exams, we would approve them, then they would, that's when the 2-year probationary order would start.
Okay, and I'm making the motion to approve the licensing and or testing with the 2-year probation period.
Thank you. We have a motion by Amy Tanksley to approve the path that we've been doing for the 2-year probationary order. Any other, a second, please?
Sure.
And a second by David. All those in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chairman Gillihan, I've taken over your role. I apologize. I do this in other programs. You're the one that's always in charge here.
I need a break.
You were resting. Thank you. Okay, I'll proceed with the agenda and turn the orders over to you for the motions. We do not have any reciprocity. So that's a good thing. That means that we are moving, on average, our reciprocal applications take probably 3 to 4 days, which is used to
That's
be
great.
30 to 45 days. So it is a well-oiled machine is what we call it. And it's also thanks to the board evaluating and considering what substantially meets it. So it works really well. The next item you have is a miscellaneous. It's only one item and it starts on page 601. And I do believe she was very sweet, had to get off. Miss Alyssa Lawrence was on the call with us and so had a situation with a child, so she wouldn't join us. She will check in with me this afternoon. So on your iPads, you have a request to review this information. Miss Lawrence attended an aesthetic school here in Tennessee, completed the 750-hour program in April of 2022. She's presented, obviously, her diploma from the school having completed, or her information on page 601, explaining her hours. She did take the theory one time and did not pass. I believe this explains it, and I've spoken to her that her true interest had been eyelashes from the beginning when she did aesthetic school. And she continued then to get her certification in the eyelash program. And these certifications are offered by those companies that sell the eyelashes, have been around for a very long time. Sometimes it's been confusing because individuals would pay a lot of money, get the product, be certified and think they could work. And in Tennessee, you needed an aesthetics license, master barber, cosmetology. So in speaking to Ms. Lawrence, her true passion is eyelashes. She's done 750 hours in aesthetics, would like to count those hours as eyelash, which is a 300-hour curriculum based on the new law. We can obviously have conversations. I've had a brief conversation with you, and her curriculum more than covers the expected 300 hours because it does cover sanitation, health concerns. So if the board is in agreement, she would then be possibly our first person testing for the eyelash exams, the theory and the practical. Those exams are going to be available on the 14th with PSI. And so I would let her know if that's the case, and I can guarantee you she would be celebrating if she'd been able to stay on the call with us. So that's her request.
Theory and a practical exam for the eyelash license.
Correct.
Eyelash
Correct.
license.
Yes.
And that's gonna be open on the 14th.
Yes, PSI has that exam has been out there in Texas. Texas has a license, not identical to ours, but very similar. So I've worked closely with Sean and PSI to make sure that the bulletin with candidate test taker, it is available. It's finally ready. I've got it in our office if instructors want it. On the 14th, when they launch the exam, then that bulletin will be available. But I know that a lot of schools are already waiting on it to help prepare and understand how the exam component is going to take.
Ask a random question.
Yes, but we need you to get a mic. Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Tanker. I should have thought of that before, but I'm looking at you, so I didn't realize the voice.
I
You're
don't do,
good.
yeah. So the eyelash coursework will be 300 hours.
It is. The law says 300 hours offered at a cosmetology or aesthetic school, and then the 2 exams.
So if you signed up, so like this gal, she took the aesthetics course. She clearly has more than 300 hours. She didn't get licensed in aesthetics, but would a student then get to choose?
So
Are they that different of programs?
well, the aesthetics is over and above, but it touches on eyelashes without a doubt. In her case, she's even certified to sell and really an expert in eyelashes. So we're considering both. I don't know that if the board decides to go with this, we can take anyone that's an esthetician and move them to eyelash. In reality, they've covered the material. I don't know what else they would really learn if we said, no, you need another 100 hours. The law wasn't written to
interesting.
envision this, right? So we would have
So
to,
if you offered an aesthetics like these schools at 300 hours,
no.
you couldn't say, go take
Because
your
those
eyelash
first,
test.
those first 300 hours wouldn't be on eyelashes only. They would be makeup and waxing and
Okay.
facials, but the whole 750 covers all of it. So we're starting to get that question even in cosmetology, right? I've done cosmetology, I'm at 400. I can go ahead and test. That would be no, because if you did 400 hours in barbering or cosmetology or aesthetics, that doesn't mean that you're ready to do all waxing or whatever the discipline is. It includes,
Yeah, it sounds like the order of the curriculum, if you're getting a different license, would not be the order of
Correct.
the curriculum if you were just doing eyelashes.
it's not the number. So if you have 300, for example, in cosmetology, that doesn't mean you're a natural hairstylist and ready to test for natural hairstyling. It means you have 300 hours. You've covered the sanitation and you've covered portions, maybe, of some skin, mostly hair. And so it really is the entire curriculum. In this particular case, she's done all of aesthetics. So she's definitely done a lot of makeup, covered health and concerns and illnesses, that kind of thing. So, and then on top, she's certified to do eyelashes. So, I mean, we may have to address some of these a little bit differently. What I've been guiding the cosmetology schools and aesthetics in, when a student has started and is at about 300, 400, 500 hours, covered all the general, what can I move over to eyelash? Well, there is no set curriculum. So back to your point early on, Mr. Gillihan, we may do rules that dictate that. Right now, the guidance that we've been given when before the legislators is don't over specify, don't overcomplicate. These are the experts. Don't list so many things. So if you had 500 hours in cosmetology, 300 of those are general hours. That doesn't mean that you move 300 to aesthetics that only needs, I think, 180, right? And so you're only moving the minimum. The rules allow for the general hours to move between disciplines. Eyelashes aren't broken down by general, physical, and chemical. And so then the school, I think, would be able to look at how many of those sanitation general hours would you be reteaching? Because no one needs to do that. And have some of that discretion to decide what they do. I need you to have a mic. I'm sorry.
I always had a question about the eyelash certification. Who accredits the certifiers of
No idea.
eyelash
No idea.
certification? Nobody.
No, I don't
So
know.
it's not really worth that much.
Well, we don't recognize it, but that doesn't mean that you're not an expert, that you haven't done 3,000 eyelash clients, that you haven't learned over and above, right?
I would just be careful and want to delineate between our sanitation approved and accredited by an accredited board to some of these certifications that, I mean, they just start putting eyelashes on.
And we don't accept certifications for anything. Hold on. Yeah, let me get a mic to you.
You have to be on the microphone.
Yes, sorry. Yes, sir.
The main thing with this is that it's unique in itself because she's already been through the esthetician and then she's taken this other course that she's evidently graduated in.
And that's
And
what she's
so-
been wanting to do with
Exactly.
eyelashes.
So she's wanting to just be able to take this test and based on what we're seeing on paper and stuff, she has what she needs and stuff.
Correct.
And this is a very unique in itself situation, right?
Correct, correct. And she kind of, wasn't going to possibly continue testing for the aesthetics at some point, that her passion had been this and it didn't exist. So this new specialty license, I think, as we see the first ones test and other questions that come up, we may at each meeting bring you a unique situation that we've not thought of.
She's
Okay.
already tested and didn't pass on that first attempt on the theory. So she's qualified to go ahead and get to retest and to get the full esthetician license, which would still allow her to do
Absolutely.
eyelashes.
Absolutely.
So essentially, she is kind of saying, well, I don't want to do all of that. I just want to limit myself. And she's trying to pull that little component out. If we do this, of course, it's going to set a precedent, so we need to be aware of that. But the question will come up, I can see it down the road. How many hours can I transfer from one program to another and get credit for that? So in this scenario, since she's already got all of those
Correct.
esthetician hours, she would have covered the full curriculum anyway within all of those components.
And
Although all that would not have been just on eyelashes. So any component is going to be sanitation, disinfection, and laws and rules and all those other things.
And the general hours are coming up. I mean, I've had the debate and the schools haven't, set, but so far what I've said is if cosmetology general hours are 300, you're not giving them 300. If the lowest general hours, I believe, are either for natural hair or manicure, maybe at 120, I still think that would be too high. You're going to have to figure that balance. If we work on rules and set the general hours, then it'll be set in stone. But many of the schools that are looking to do the eyelashes, they're planning on testing and seeing how far they got because it's your own student, right? So you really are very much the expert in knowing how much did they cover that's important. Can I give them 100 if they're 600 hours into cosmetology, for example?
Mhm. The statute, as it's written, says that the
Doesn't-
schools dictate or the schools
Correct.
create their own curriculum right now.
Correct. So that's the reason I think they have some flexibility to acknowledge how far is the student. And then we focus on the real eyelashes, the extensions, the additives, all that stuff. Yes, Miss Becky.
I'd like to set to the side just for a moment that she has her certificate in eyelashes because that's not a course that we cover or anything else. So let's just kind of set that to the side and not even think about, she's got this additional training. Would she, if she were a licensed professional, would she be able to provide lash services? And the answer to that is yes. So with that in mind, I do not have a problem with her testing specifically in eyelashes because she is the one that is limiting herself
Mhm.
rather than we are limiting her. So if she chooses that this is the only route that she wants, I'm okay with that because I feel like she's gained that within her aesthetics, regardless of this lash class.
Correct. 100%. Agree with you.
I was gonna ask you about employers. As an employer,
As an employer, do you get a cosmetology shop license? And there's not an eyelash
Yes, there
shop.
is. Oh,
Is
no,
there
the
an
law-
eyelash shop license?
Yes, the law that passed that we reviewed several months ago,
Sorry,
actually, no, that's okay, actually passed.
we
two
don't do
things.
eyelashes, so, and
I don't, and
But
Ron
I'm
tells me
learning.
the
I will
barber
get this
schools
question.
aren't gonna have a problem either, but, depending on the services you offer, right now, it's an eyelash specialist license, 300 hours, both exams. And you can do it through apprenticeship, you can do it traditionally. It opened everything.
okay.
And there's an eyelash specialty shop. So that's actually already available to apply online. If you decide it this afternoon, oh, I'll open an eyelash. And when we spoke, maybe last meeting or the one before, we discussed, do we need equipment for the eyelash shop? Because you'll see at the end of our meeting, Hugh again is going to present the rules that for this are adding very little because we've been advised to not add a lot of equipment. So for the eyelash specialty shop, we are not doing special equipment. They will have to have sanitation like all shops. They will be inspected. They need access to a restroom. But whether you need 2 chairs, if you're using all disposable equipment, it would be at the discretion of that shop owner and the manager who's a licensee.
And
But
if you
there
have
is a-
eyelash specialty shop license, you can only employ eyelash special.
Cosmetologists or estheticians. And barbers can do it as well. So in that case, I think if you're bringing on board barbers that are going to do it, which is going to be a rare and unique thing, it would need to be a dually licensed shop that allows barbers to also post their license. But right,
Can you only offer eyelash services?
yes, in just an eyelash shop.
If you're an
Absolutely.
eyelash shop, you can offer eyelash, so no
That's all.
waxing, no,
That's-
I'm just
That's all.
clarifying.
That is all.
Cool.
How are the tests different?
It is
No.
only on eyelash extensions. I mean, the theory is going to cover a lot of sanitation, health conditions. The eye is one of those injuries for our instructors in the room that's very high in concerns. And so the exam was developed, I think, a couple of years ago when Texas was launching the license. And because we now have more of a national database, not just Tennessee questions only, we're able to quickly roll out with that. So the theory is going to include what the chapters and the books in both Milady and Pivot Point already include, and our laws and rules. The practical is going to be about the eyelash extension service. Mhm. Oh, okay. If we want to stay here and answer the questions online, the board member, or do we want to vote on this particular situation?
Let's go ahead and vote on this and then we'll come.
Okay.
I know we're going to take comments here at the end.
Yeah.
anyway, so.
I think that's perfect.
We have a motion and a second, a motion by Amy Tanksley and seconded by, was it Lane?
Yes.
To approve this applicant for testing. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. And Dana, I know that we've got some questions. We're going to come to them at the end on anything that came before us on this agenda. Absolutely will be open for anyone that has questions. It shouldn't take us much longer to finish the items that we do have, which of course are on our agenda that we need to wrap up. Board members, next is the director's report, and that starts on page 603. Let me make sure I can at least see it. First is our financial record, and this doesn't need a motion. Just this is our presentation as of May 2023 that's presented, not to scare us, but it does reflect a deficit for the amount as of May of $20,000, leaving the reserve still with $1,279,551. June will have several of the different cost back entries. And so I can't promise we won't end the year in a deficit. 20,000 for a program that, has about 2 million to 3 million expenses and revenues is a low number. But in any case, it's just a lot of different things have impacted this particular year. So I just wanted to let everybody kind of know where we stood. We already have, I think, preliminary June numbers. I didn't have them for this meeting. But definitely by the time we meet in October, that should be finalized. Yes, it's one of my main responsibilities. Self-sufficiency is what it's called. Yes. Thank you.
We need a motion to approve the director's report.
No, we
No.
really don't. But if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for. Don't hesitate. Next, I believe on your iPads, yes. And I sent the email for the 2024 meeting dates to you. If you still need them, please don't hesitate to let me know and we'll send them back to you. This, I do need a motion. You've got before you the 2024 meeting dates so that we can update our website, reserve the room. Right now, as it stands, we are staying with the first Monday of every month, February 5th, April 1st, June 3rd, August 5th, October 7th, and December 2nd would be our meeting dates for 2024. So you can also put in your calendars, and I would need a motion to accept those.
We have a motion by David, a second by Lane to approve. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. I am going to turn it over to Hugh Cross to go over what we've got with the rules in motion here. And then I'll have the last statement for our new business before we can turn it over to questions. Oh, yes, you do.
All right, everyone should have a copy of the red line rules. These red line rules for the eyelashes are actually the exact same version, aside from the location as what was presented at the last board meeting. Today, these are up for a vote, so I need board approval for this particular set of red lines, and then after the board votes to approve, then it will move to an internal review, and then after that, it will go to the governor's office. And after the governor's office approves, then it will need to be filed with the Secretary of State. The only issue I want to bring up there with the timing is that, so to file with the Secretary of State, you need 52 days prior to the hearing. So we have a rulemaking hearing, so I need 52 days prior to that to file. So that means in order for this to happen, for the rulemaking hearing to happen in October, at the October board meeting, I would need to file by this Friday, August the 11th. So that's not going to happen because I would need internal review and the governor's office review. And the governor's office asks for at least 2 weeks generally. So that's not going to happen. So my goal is the December 4th board meeting to have the rulemaking hearing. If everything moves forward, get internal review, then that should be enough time to have the rulemaking hearing in December. So, but I'm open to any questions here for this particular set of rules. If not, then I would need a motion and a roll call vote for approval.
You may need a little extra eyes from everybody to help me find this. As I was reviewing this, I think I had located a discrepancy in one of the fees, one of the costs.
Okay.
So let me take just a minute and see if I can find that.
Absolutely. I see the instructor license up 70, but it's listed, it's $70, but it's listed as 80. Yeah, that's
That's
the initial. Yeah.
On the educational equivalent, do we need to put in writing somewhere? I framed it, I couldn't figure out where this 16 years of age, the law, should that be in there? Already there, okay.
We just need to make a motion to approve these changes, additions. I'd like to make a motion to.
We have a motion and a second to accept the changes or amendments to this red line report. Ms. Tanksley made the motion and Ms. Mona seconded. All in favor, say aye.
These I need a roll call vote.
Okay,
I've got
Yes.
mine.
so that roll call then.
I think we're good. Okay, there we go. These are the draft rules that we worked on and didn't make really any changes at the last meeting, so they've been voted on, and we have a motion and a second to approve these and move forward. I will go through our roll call vote. Give me a second. Let me go back to my. Mr. David McElreath. You. Mr. Jeffrey Moran. Thank you. Ms. Lane Petty. Thank you. Ms. Judy McAllister. Thank you. Ms. Amy Tanksley.
Yes.
Ms. Mona Sappenfield, Ms. Becky Russell. Thank you. And Chairman Ron Gillihan.
Yes.
Believe I didn't miss anyone. Thank you. You have a quorum and are ready to proceed with the roll.
Thank you. Aside from that, the only other update I have is for the equipment waiver rules. I have triple checked with the Attorney General's office that those are still under review. So I've confirmed receipt a few times, and my understanding is they're still under review. That's the only update I have for those as well.
Waiver.
Equipment waiver.
Rules are for shops.
They were, the one that had the rulemaking hearing on. Yeah, it allows the executive director the discretion to waive certain equipment requirements. It's been a while.
Been a while.
Yeah, it's February last year, rulemaking hearing, so that's all I have.
Thank you. We are on our section of the agenda for our new business as we finish up. And as Chairman Gillihan mentioned early on, this program has always not only welcomed guests, but opened the floor for comments. And so at this point, I would like to do the same. If there's any members of the public here in the room with us or participating through Teams remotely that would like to place any comments regarding the agenda and what was presented, you are welcome to do so. At that point, Chairman Gillihan will kind of guide us to make sure that it's just one at a time. We do have the discretion to limit those items to 3 minutes, but we hope to be able to answer everybody's questions. I'll turn it back over to you, Chair.
I can't see the board if anybody has their hand raised here, but we did have someone who wanted to speak just a moment ago. So if we have them, Ms. Wakefield, if you could give us your name in full, and then we'll give you about 3 minutes to make a comment. We may have questions for you outside of that.
Okay, thanks. My name is Lakita Wakefield. I'm a aesthetics instructor here at TCAT in Nashville. So just for clarification, and that's only because I have several students who are in the program currently who have surpassed 300 hours, and they're actually interested in becoming just lash specialists. So if they have gotten to that 300-hour mark but are still in the aesthetics program, are they able to just, I guess, stop at that point and say, I want to just reverse and then apply to be a lash specialist? And then for those hours be granted?
So thank you for, Ms. Wakefield, for your question. I think we've sort of addressed this, and it is a very common question. It is not about the hours. It is about the material that's being taught. So a student, and you are the specialist as an aesthetics instructor, a student that has done 300 hours in aesthetics by no means has done 300 hours in eyelashes. So please, if that helps, don't think of it as the number of hours. It's the coursework as a whole. And that's the example we gave with cosmetology. Even if you're 500 hours into it in cosmetology, you've done a lot of hair. You can't move that 500 to aesthetics, right? And you would understand that. So within the aesthetics program, your students have done sanitation, quite a bit of hours in sanitation. So at least at this point, as being the expert, that may be 50 hours. It may be 70. If it's your own student with a contract and you know that you wanted to teach them eyelashes, then where would you place them in the eyelash curriculum? You might have not even touched eyelashes in the 300-hour aesthetics curriculum. I'm going to guess you haven't, because you're doing some facial. So you see what I'm saying? There's really no way to give them 300 hours. That's the conversation. I think that's pretty easy to explain to students. However, in the 300 hours, you've probably done 50 to 100 maybe in general hours and sanitation. And so that is the piece that, at least for now, as the instructor, knowing your students, you would be able to have some flexibility, because you draft your own curriculum, to move over to the eyelash program and let them continue from there and specialize then on what they're missing. Does that help?
It does. And then as far as the curriculum goes, SEMA already my lady has an eyelash curriculum.
Correct.
And it's not close to what it would be for aesthetics, because in aesthetics, we have one chapter. And in that one chapter, it covers maybe 2 paragraphs over eyelashes overall. And it really doesn't even cover eyelash extensions. It covers the strips and the tabs. So I just want to make sure going forward, we don't have the program yet. They're in the works of trying to figure out how to implement it. I do know there are other private people that are trying to start the program, but if it gets to a place of people feeling like that they can just transfer once that they've done the hours, we understand how much is going to be transferred and then what knowledge is going to be taken with the transfer before they decide to jump from aesthetics or cos into becoming just the eyelash specialist.
Yes, ma'am. John, do we have anyone else? Or Dana? Ms. Wakefield, you still had your hand up. Did that answer your question?
No,
Are you
that
good?
answered. And
All
then
right.
one last thing, as far as the instructing part of it, is there going to be a standard for an eyelash instructor, or will it still be covered underneath cos and aesthetics?
Right now, there is no instructor that specializes in eyelashes. There's cosmetology would be able to teach it and estheticians would be able to teach it. I
Okay.
foresee that 3 years from now, an eyelash specialist would be able to upgrade to become an eyelash specialist instructor, but that'll be a minimum of 3 years based on other laws and rules.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we're also not really envisioning people wanting to start in a 300-hour program and then suddenly you want to transfer those hours up into something else. So do we have any other public comments? Okay. Hearing none, have we concluded our business? Wow, members, thank everybody. Be safe in your travels. We appreciate all of you and everything that you do. We have a motion to adjourn. If we've got a second, all in favor? We're adjourned.
Thank you, members. Thank you for everybody that participated through Teams.